Good afternoon, everyone. Today we're going to have a panel discussion on the future of banking beyond digital, banking in a decentralized world. Today's panel is all about transformation. We're going to explore how traditional banks are not just going digital, but going decentralized, from integrating blockchain to settlement processes and using AI to personalize their customer experience. We'll take a closer look at how decentralized finance, or DeFi, is reshaping the role of traditional institutions and what this shift means for cross-border transactions, supply chain finance, and the very infrastructure that keeps the global finance world moving. Today we have two interesting panelists with two very different backgrounds. May I ask Mr. Hani Idris to come and join us, and may I ask Mr. Luis Mas to join us. So before we begin, I'm just going to end up giving a brief introduction to the two panelists. Hani has 50 years of retail and corporate banking experience in Kuwait, Jordan, Palestine, Yemen, Iraq, and now Dubai, out of which 22 years of professional experience in technology banking, digital finance services, and fintech. Hani's worked with the Bank of Kuwait, the Middle East Kuwait, for 14 years, Housing Bank of Jordan for 2 years, and the Jordan National Bank for 11 years, and the Yemen Commercial Bank for 6 years. Since February 2022, he has been the CEO and the regional manager for the International Development Bank based out of UAE, out of Dubai. We have Luis Mas. He's a visionary entrepreneur and a thought leader at the intersection of blockchain and digital banking. He's the founder and executive chairman of Bello Baba, a trailblazing neobank based in Dubai that's redefining how individuals interact with fiat and digital assets, combining compliance, security, and intuitive design into one powerful platform. In addition to this, under his leadership at Bello Baba, Luis is also the CEO and the chief investment officer of the Bello Baba Crypto Fund, that is managing a crypto hedge fund based in Gibraltar. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us.
Thank you.
Now, Hani, you're at the helm of a regional bank. How do you see blockchain improving financial services, particularly in cross-border remittances and payments in regions like the Middle East and perhaps into developing markets in Africa, per se, down the line?
Okay, thank you very much, Ali. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm really happy to be here in this very, challenging session. Blockchain is a sort of fact now for the whole, industries all over the world. As it relates to banking, we are now in a civilization process, migration. We don't want to say we are here with blockchain without, understanding where do we start as a humanity. Humanity passed 4 revolutions up to date. The first revolution was steam revolution in late, 18th century. After 100 years, the humanity processed the second revolution, which is electricity revolution. And everybody knows what is the value and the importance of electricity for every person, every institution under the sun. After another 100 years, almost, in the last century, 19th and 20th century, we start the information revolution with the internet and the mobile technology late or mid 1990s last century. Only after 20 years we reach what we call now, and we are in now, is the digitalization revolution. After probably 10 or 15 years of digitalization revolution, we are now putting our step on what I can consider the fifth revolution, which is artificial intelligence, where blockchain is one of the tools for that. going back to your question as it relates to cross-border transactions and what blockchain can do. Simply, blockchain is going to change the methodology of banking and artificial intelligence definitely in a way that part of the key elements for cross-border transactions or traditional were done is going to eliminate or bypass the key players with the artificial intelligence, blockchain, cross-border transactions for cryptocurrency and even smart contracts. We are really eliminating or bypassing the bank, which is the key player. The bank is not going to be in the process of cross-border transactions, remittances, using, the blockchain and artificial intelligence. Also, it will bypass other players. It will bypass SWIFT, which was created in 1973, and we thought that it's going to go forever. Nothing will continue forever. This is exactly where do we stand. Definitely, the benefits of the blockchain for cross-border remittances and transactions, that definitely is going to be very fast. Because when you give an example, for bankers or financial institutions in the audience, to do a transaction using SWIFT, you need minimum 3 to 5 days. And also, this is the time consuming. In the meantime, the fees is very high. But with blockchain, intelligent, artificial intelligence, and the cryptocurrency, and the methodology of, process, you can do this transaction within a few seconds. And the transaction will be completed from processing, settlement, and final reconciliation. So this will be done without the involvement of the bank and without the involvement of SWIFT. And I think a few weeks back, the announcement of a real transaction using blockchain, cryptocurrency, and artificial intelligence process have been implemented between Hong Kong and Abu Dhabi, where it took something around 8 to 9 seconds to perform the transaction, guaranteed the process and the reconciliation and settlement without using third parties, the bank, and without using SWIFT, as a system. This is in brief about the question.
Thank you, Hani. Now, Luis, you've created Bello Baba. It's a very unique fintech platform from what I understood just researching online. Could you tell us a little bit more about Bello Baba? And can you tell us how it is adding to this new vision of decentralized finance?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Thank you to be here after the long day. So following a little bit the explanation of Doctor, so I think that we are moving from internet financial system based to Web3 financial system based, so the internet of ownership. And this is a big change of shape. It will shape everything, So, and it's happening right now. So the example that Doctor said, so what is behind all this market volatility and this Trump arancells and taxes is the stablecoin bill and the market structure bill that they are pushing to approve by August. This is going to be the beginning of the new reliable and superior financial system. Okay, it will take time. Okay, but they are creating the foundations because right now we are watching the weaknesses of dollar, de-dollarization of the economy. So other countries taking the lead. Okay, so and they have to do something in order to lead the new era that we are facing. This is what is happening. So when we are talking about neobanking, so we are talking about digitalization. We are talking about integration Bitcoin, integration stablecoins, integration, all this massive trend of tokenization of assets that the previous speaker explained to us. So this will be the next wave, and this is what they are talking about right now in the United States. And we are talking about DeFi. If you shape all these four things with AI, you have, let's say, what is right now we understand as digital banking. What is going to happen as a digital bank, we are going to be the face and the conductors, okay, of this volume from this digital global 24/7 market, creating products for the people, okay, and this democratization of the finance thanks to this new financial system, okay. So people will be able to trade, to participate, and we are going to be the responsible to create products in savings and investments thanks to this new DeFi, let's say, decentralized finance possibilities, okay, to people that they don't have any kind of education in finance or financial habits. So I think this is the biggest innovation and responsibility that we have in neobanking right now.
I mean, you give a very good picture of what is happening. One of the key issues is regulation, though.
Yeah.
And you have governments that are still very closed. And this is specifically, I'm not looking at Western governments, but I'm looking at governments in the developing world. I'm looking at governments in perhaps, Asia or Africa, where you can see this stuff having significant potential for growth and for expansion. But what is happening in some of those countries?
Yes and not. Now you have a very powerful, let's say, currencies like yuan, like dollar. It's true. But the change is that a blockchain is aligning all the players. So what is happening? In order to create this superior financial system, okay, you have to create reliable financial assets. Who is ruling these reliable financial assets are going to be the jurisdiction that are minting these financial assets, so attracting flow of money worldwide. Second, you have to have the automatization of compliance. We are going to create tokens that they are going to be the containers of the ownership and the critical data through all the story of this token, but as well critical data as NAV, AUM, treasury on-chain of these companies. One of the biggest scandals and problems that we have last century is the lack of information. This Madoff or these scams is because of the lack of information. These tokens will have on-chain in real time the financial statements of all these companies. So it's a financial system more reliable, more trustworthy, and focus in the value, focus in bringing value. We are going to eliminate a lot of intermediaries so people can participate of these yields that previous guy was talking about. So, and I think it's very exciting what is happening, and it will happen fast.
I totally agree with you, all right? But again, touching on that issue of regulation, because many countries, and I say this from example of looking at, Africa, for instance, many countries are still very apprehensive of crypto, very apprehensive of this sort of Web3 integration, and in certain countries, they want control. They feel that if they don't have control, then they're not going to allow this in. What do you do and how do you work around the system? Or is it just a matter of time that you see that will allow these countries, or they will have to just adapt to this?
The thing is, technology is there.
Okay.
Okay? And this technology that is talking with regulators and talking with key players, okay, in order to align the standards. Once these height standards are created,
okay,
they will be delivered to these economies that they are a little bit not confident with this happening, okay? But when China or when United States is forcing you to use these new rails of payments, what they are going to do?
Okay. It's basically a take it or leave it sort of situation, I believe, right? It's like a take it or leave it sort of situation. They have to adapt.
Yeah, but of course.
All right? From that perspective, Hani, you've worked with numerous banks across the region, all right? Many of which are now learning to navigate and engage with fintech or engage with this new aspect of technology and perhaps blockchain technology. How can traditional banks in the Middle East and those in the developing world collaborate with fintechs and other startups such as Louise's to adapt blockchain for identity verification, because I think that is a very key issue. Same with loan issuances or supply chain finance.
Interesting question. Okay. Fintech, for me, I'm sorry for the opinion of everybody, it's a buzzword, okay? And it was created after 2008, which means after the recession we demonstrated as a humanity in 2008. Fintech, in the meantime, I understood it's financial technology. It's a fact. The time it was started, I mean, banks was not treat, I mean, fintech institutions or, in the same way. Part of the banks, they consider fintech is a challenge, and other banks worldwide, they consider fintech could be an opportunity. Okay. The key element is we don't want to, jump without understanding where are we now and where we want to jump. It's not only to show technology, something interested or smart, whatever. No. Please, you need to be wise. You cannot move without really know where are you moving. For fintech approach, as if you want to say that fintech are creative, are new, and the banks are traditional, we cannot do it this way. Based on my experience, most of the banks, they really feel that they need to deal with fintech or institutions, but in the meantime to be very well confident of where they are going. Okay, let me give an example for this in the traditional banks or in the banking. When we have really demonstrated that as a bank, in Iraq, we apply for probably the first ever digital bank license from Central Bank of Iraq. Okay, and we wait the answer. We benefit from the visit of the governor of Central Bank of Iraq to our branch in Dubai. And I asked the governor, we submit, an official feasibility study for the first ever digital bank in Iraq in 2019. And we have not received any response from the central bank. He gave me an answer which is really valid and wise answer. He says, Hani, how can I give you a license for a banking function? I don't have regulations for that. You get my point? There is something really, you cannot jump. This is one example. So the central bank cannot give you a regulation for something there is no regulation to manage and operate this function. In the meantime, when you talk about a cryptocurrency and digital currency, we have to segregate. The banks in the region, they are not the same. And we have, almost 20 countries, in the region as Arab countries. And there are more than 350 banks, okay? For most of the central banks, they totally segregate between two, approaches, the digital currency and the cryptocurrency. So most of the central banks now, they are concentrating how to create a digital currency within the country, okay? To assure the real control, the process, procedures, and policies. And the cryptocurrency, they don't touch now, and it's not permitted because it's not really very well defined, it's not really regulated. This is, an example of how, banks are approaching, or reacting to what we call, fintech solutions, or, cryptocurrency, or, sort of, digital banking. And I hope, I give a brief answer about it. but if you're looking for more details, we can go.
I think I was not looking at more details on this, but you touched on a certain point. You said that there's a lack of regulation, okay? And when there's a lack of regulation, sometimes the banks don't necessarily adopt it. But in a country like UAE today, there's significantly more regulation now on blockchain technologies. And the question that I had posed was more on how are banks now looking at adopting blockchain technologies for loan verification, for identity and so forth. Because that is a critical sort of aspect that will allow banks to eventually adopt crypto, I would assume. Okay, because if they have all this sort of stuff on blockchain, they can end up potentially, using, down the line, not necessarily CBDCs, but down the line, some type of cryptocurrency that allows them to end up, monitoring their loans and so forth as well. Right? That is one aspect. And then related to that, perhaps, how do you? And I'm still coming back to that. How do you work around regulation? So maybe you can go, Hani, and then.
Okay, I mean, for the central bank, the central bank in most of the Arab countries is the regulator and the only regulator and the sole regulator. Okay, we cannot compare the status of banking technology. I mean, in United Arab Emirates with the normal Arab countries. I cannot compare what's going on. I mean, United Arab Emirates is in a very high and advanced level if you want to compare with all Arab countries in all aspects, even, I mean, in cryptocurrency, in digital digitalization, in blockchain, artificial intelligence, etc. In most of the Arab countries, I mean, like Levant, Jordan, probably Syria, Iraq, Libya, Yemen, most of the countries still they are not in the position to really go with the cryptocurrency. They don't have regulations, they have not really allowed, it's not permitted. And you cannot do without, the approval and the acceptance of the central bank. If we want to talk about, identity verification, I am a person, okay? I am identified, but the areas or the regulator that identified my identity is the Ministry of Interior, okay? I cannot go and identify myself in any system for financial transaction. The only party, the most governments in this region or development countries or emerging countries is the Ministry of Interior. They have the data of me as a Hani, okay? We cannot rely on other parties. So without the involvement of Ministry of Interior for Hani Idris authentication as a human or, an entity that can do or legalized or qualified to perform financial transactions, you cannot take the authentication but from Ministry of Interior through the central bank.
Okay.
In the meantime, for let's say with blockchain and decentralized finance transactions, you cannot really apply for a loan without having the whole elements of the regulation from the point of the bank is the issuer of the loan and the beneficiary is X or Y, retail or corporate transactions. Even if the retail is probably could be more easier, peer-to-peer transactions using the blockchain technology, okay, it's really working, it's really available, but without being regulated by the central bank of the country, you cannot really have sort of legal transaction, because who is going to prove that the peer one to peer two lending money or borrowing money is really controlled without having the regulations or the regulator in the picture with its own and sole responsibility in the same.
Okay. Now, coming back to you, Luis, this aspect of regulation, as a neobank, how do you end up looking at settlements, right? Because again, it's on one side, if there's no regulation on there, then how does that prevent you still from operating, or are you operating but working around the system? And this is something that, what you say has repercussions, because many countries in the developing world are grappling with this. All right. So perhaps you have some insight on this.
So I will answer I will provide to you two answers.
Okay.
What is happening right now and
Yeah.
what is going to happen.
Okay.
Okay. To fix all these worries that Dr. It's obviously explained. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, Lewis, I'm not a doctor. Most of the people say doctor. I'm not a doctor, by the way.
Okay.
Thank you.
Showing respect.
Thank you.
So, what is happening right now? So, we have two technologies. Decentralized technologies,
Yeah.
okay, is a pack of oracles and smart contracts. And centralized technologies that in open banking is APIs. Okay, so right now, if you want to interact with multiple banking players in several jurisdictions, okay, all of them, they have certain risk appetite. All of them, they have certain rules, and they have to follow certain kind of guides from the central banks. Okay, so for what we are interested for them, so because we are living in a global world, all interconnected, so we can build rails to this local commercial bank. Okay, we can bring flow of funds and clients that they feel comfortable with this specific compliance. The compliance that they are not agree, we are not sending to them. Okay. So, but of course they have to trust us, and so all the fintech companies will have, let's say, a protocol in compliance. Which tools we are using, how we are reporting transactions or analyzing clients, the proof of origin of the money. So all these best practice we are using like banks. So the unique difference is maybe in one jurisdiction they don't want to talk about that. We are bringing this money and this client to other jurisdiction to give solutions to the clients, okay? Because what we are facing is these digital nations. These digital nations are going to participate, and again, in a new and superior financial infrastructure system that is built right now. Technology is there, and only is about time that they are going to comply with multiple jurisdictions in order to align the standards and the information that they are going to fit inside the tokens, in order to have the identification of people, okay, in a centralized way, but in a decentralized infrastructure, okay? We are going to have the information of this asset. So all the compliance, this has a huge impact in the banking system because, for instance, compliance is the huge cost in transactions, okay? So if we can build an automatic compliance system that is cheaper, frictionless, because compliance is a huge headache for the user and for the banking itself, So, and if we can automatize and agree all of that, all of us, certain standards and how to fulfill these tokens, that they are going to go through different chains, through different nations, through different standards, okay? So then we are going to have a more reliable financial system, and this has an impact in the more inclusive financial system, better financial markets, so we can think in grow and create more value for everyone, and avoid this over-regulation, this inefficiency, and this discriminatory practice that, let's say, in more or less intensity, banks are doing to protect itself, to keep the license and not enter in bad practice.
Okay. I see the vision that you've just created. Sometimes governments need to be educated as well, all right? And there's a slew of information online. What are you doing through your institution to end up looking at blockchain education, not just for institutions and governments, but also at the larger mass audience? Because I think that once the mass audience ends up adopting this, then the governments have to adopt it.
Yeah. Arriving to this point, always talking about my papa and my mama, because they are clear not my client, So for what they need an account in Panama, for what they need to do a transaction with a stable coin, for what they need to understand what is a CBDC or what is a stable coin, and for what is good or bad for next generations that we are going to choose the way of CBDCs or stable coins. So my papa and mama doesn't know about that, and they can do nothing. So what understand my papa and mama? About payments and about transfers, and to receive the salary, and to pay the bread, and to send money to my cousin that is in another country. With that, they understand. So what is behind, they don't care. It's about the iPhone or the Android. Yeah. You don't care, or 90% of population don't care about the operating system, how it works. But behind, we are putting this infrastructure, for instance. So we need to do international transfer, as you said, okay? It's a big problem, big headache, okay? But if you are able to build one-click product for random people, I'm sorry for, okay? So that they want to issue a transfer. They push a button. From behind, you are buying USDT, converting these euros or these dollars in USDT, okay? And sending to another wallet, and then doing the off-ramp in fiat money in the other jurisdiction. This is one of the things that we are doing. Yeah. So this is the way to bring innovation, trying to educate, but not losing the time because people will not understand. I was in the university 1 month ago, talking with the teachers, talking about stable coins. Up and down, speculation, I'm going to become rich. No, stable coins. So all of us will have in the brain that crypto is a speculation and it's crazy and laundry money, So, but every time more will be less about crypto and more real world assets tokenized,
Okay. As we broaden this discussion, Hani, all right, let me ask something that is slightly broader but really still relevant to the traditional banking industry. Where do you see the world of banking and the world of Web3 evolving over the next, say, 5 years? All right, you come from the traditional banking, sector. Now you have this, Web3 and blockchain and crypto, out there, and it's not very long that we see them actually merging. Where do you see this? All right, especially in the region that you've worked in the Middle East, for instance.
Okay. We understand that what's going on now. I am not, the advisor of the traditional banks. I believe we will go somewhere, okay? But I believe wisdom is the key. We need to transfer, we need to migrate smoothly but surely, okay? We have to really respect, facts. Now, for the Web3, okay, definitely it's matching with the blockchain and the centralized finance, okay? And Web3 is going to improve itself from being, in what we understand, internet in general, to assure, openness, to be open, more open, definitely to be secured or more secured, and in the meantime, at the end, to be user-centric, okay? To do that, what I mean, wise people must stand and, says how we can move from the traditional way of doing banking transactions to this, a new era and a new technology which we need to implement. Still, I believe now we are in the movement of integration between Hani Idris as a physical. I'm not going to disappear as Hani, okay, physically, unless there is something else going to happen. But still, plus Hani as a digital. I have a digital side. And in the meantime, where is my challenge? What I'm talking about is the biometric measurement. How we can be confident that we are authentication Hani Idris as Hani Idris. He did the transaction. We don't Hani Idris to be physically there. There is no need. I understand it. But where is the biometric measurement I'm going to really use or rely on? Is it me physically to be presenting the transaction? It's not necessary. Digitally, yes, it could be done. But in the meantime, the authentication of the biometric measurement, which is a fact, is either going to be a thumb stamp or it's going to be, sort of bond, whatever. There is a lot of, methods of biometric measurement to be in the meantime. And as it relates to the region and the country, and based on my experience, blockchain and a cryptocurrency, Web3, definitely it's going to take its place, and it will be the fact sooner or later, okay? And the traditional banks or the banks in the Middle East, or mainly in the Arabian countries in the region, it is, the very interesting opportunity for more than one reason. The 70% of the population in this part of the emerging countries are below 30 years. So they are a new generation. They don't like to continue doing the business as the way Hani Idris is doing, and which he is over 72 years old. They want to do it in a different methodology. Also, in the meantime, by doing the cross-border, transactions, peer-to-peer transactions, you can really reduce the cost on the bank and on the customer. In the meantime, based on the experience has been done and already it's working, peer-to-peer transaction can guarantee the time, fast, convenient, and secured transactions. So this is what I foresee banks in the Middle East. They will really need to feel confident to start preparing themselves to adopt blockchain and artificial intelligence and cryptocurrency. In the meantime, if we go with this type of cross-border and the peer-to-peer money transfer, in the world, the person-to-person money transfer is around $690 billion. Okay, the number, the top 5 probably, or top 3 countries in receiving money worldwide is India, with something around $129 billion, followed by Mexico, 68 billion, 48 billion China, okay, and you go to the list where in the Arab world, Egypt with $23 billion. As it relates to send countries worldwide, number 1 is United States of America, which is something around $93 billion, followed by, everybody will be shocked here, United Arab Emirates, $39 billion annually, send money from United Arab Emirates. And definitely, I understand that number of nationalities, United Arab Emirates is 208, more than the countries of Guterres, this United Nations General Secretary. He's a Spanish, huh? Yeah. Yes. So, and the third one worldwide is Saudi Arabia with $38 billion, which means that there is a real room for this type of services, which will be for the benefit of the banks and benefit for the user, whom are the individuals. So cryptocurrency, blockchain, artificial intelligence, cryptocurrencies, person-to-person money transfer or cross-border peer-to-peer money transfer is needed, and it have, a very unique opportunities in the region.
Thank you, Hani. And because of time, I'm going to have to end up, closing the session. But wanted to say thank you to the two panelists, Hani and Luis. Much appreciated for your insight on this, and I'm sure the audience learned a fair bit.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.